So before we get to our standings, let's jump on the scale and see how you ladies did last week.
Carmen, 240.
184.
I have our standings here. And in sixth place, down 9.8 pounds, 4%, Anya. In fifth place, down 18.2 pounds, 7.89%, Svetlana. In fourth place, down 24.4 pounds, 8.29%, Angela. Awesome job. There are actually 3 of you over the 20-pound mark lost, which is amazing. And Angela, you're like knocking on 25 pounds like gone, which is crazy. Third place, down 22.3 pounds, 8.5%, Carmen. In second place, down 16.6 pounds, 10%, Miss Rosie, who is doing all the things on vacation and traveling Puerto Rico, friends, family, all the triggers, and still managed to lose 3 pounds. I know that had to feel like the biggest kiss from heaven this morning when you were like, oh my gosh, it showed up. All my hard work showed up. I say all that to say, awesome job. And in first place, down 23.6 pounds, 11.36%, Katie. Awesome job. This week, I want to transition into something that all of us are going to have to deal with on this journey to not mediocre, not average. And it's something that we all have to deal with. And all of us at different points in time. But there is nobody that chooses to get good at anything or to have an above average result at anything that does not have to deal with this. And this is dealing with negative people. Dealing with negative people, dealing with naysayers, dealing with people's criticisms, judgments, critiques. It just comes with living on planet Earth. It comes with the human experience. It's not awesome, but it just is what it is. It is what it is. And the worst thing we can do is to try to hide from it or try to shield ourselves from it, because that's when we go into hiding, right? Is because we don't want to deal with people. We don't want to deal with their negativity. We don't want to deal with their opinions. So I just won't even be around people. I'll shield myself. I'll hide out of all these things, and then I don't have to deal with it. But what kind of life is that? What kind of life is that? Your light is supposed to shine bright. And, opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one, and most of them stink. And people love to share their opinions. They just love to share their opinions. And so do you remember a couple weeks back when we went through the exercise, or we went through the list of all the things people said, and we kind of cleaned house? We cleaned out all the junk, all the clutter, all the things that didn't line up with where we wanted to go. And so when it comes to dealing with negative people, we are the gatekeeper to this, okay? Your head, your brain is like potting soil. What we plant in here grows, it gets roots, it sprouts up, and that's where our future comes from. That's where the way we think comes from. That's where what we think about ourselves comes from. Especially in the beginning, especially when we're still building our identity, especially when we're still building our fire, especially when we're still building our why, when we're building our self-control, when we're building our self-discipline. It comes from, a lot of other people because we haven't necessarily planted a lot of seeds in there yet. And so we are the gatekeeper for our garden. And there is a general rule that I use in my life, and it's don't take criticism from someone that you would not take advice from. Do not take criticism from someone that you would not take advice from. And how do you know if you should take advice from somebody? It's a really simple formula because, by the way, we don't take advice from somebody because they're a good person or because we like them or we love them. We take advice from somebody in a certain area because they have a track record, they have fruit in their life that we want. That's how we know if we should listen to them, not just because they said so, and certainly not just because they have an opinion and they want to tell you about their opinion. And so here's the thing. If somebody does not have the health you want, what should you listen to them? No. In marriage, if someone doesn't have a marriage that you want, should you take marriage advice from them? HE double hockey sticks, no. If you are trying to be financially set, if you are trying to be wealthy, if you're trying to grow your net worth, should you listen to somebody who's broke? No. Why? Because if you listen to somebody who's broke has broke opinions. They have broke habits. They have broke ideas. Doesn't make them a bad person. But if I listen to their broke ideas, guess where I will be? Broke. If somebody is overweight and unhealthy and trying to tell me what to do, and I follow what they say, I will be exactly where they're at. And so, tonight we're going to go into how to handle this because we're never going to get rid of people's opinions. We're never going to get rid of what people think because people want to tell you and everybody loves to be the expert. And so here's what I will say. When I started losing weight and I decided to get healthy, I was 288 pounds. I had our second baby, which I had gestational diabetes with both of my first two, preeclampsia, tons of swelling, like you could like push your ankle and it would be whatever. And high blood pressure, which for me was, I have a very low blood pressure. So me being normal was high blood pressure because I have a very low natural blood pressure. And so I got done having these babies and, luckily the babies were healthy. There was no complications with that. However, when I decided that I was going to lose weight and get healthy, I naturally thought that everybody around me was going to be supportive of this because here I'm a mother now. I have two kids. It's not just about me anymore. Like, why wouldn't people be supportive of this? And I thought maybe when I got to my goal, I would have some judgments, right? Because people were used to me being the fluffy friend. People were used to me looking and acting and dressing a certain way. So all of a sudden, when that starts to change, I was aware that that might press on people's insecurities, right? Like I was aware that me having success in this area or becoming smaller than my friends who I had always been bigger than could maybe press on their insecurities. Again, not trying to do that, but not my problem. I'm not going to stay fluffy just so it doesn't bother them, right? I'm not losing weight to bother them, but I'm not going to stay that way so that they feel secure. So I thought maybe when I get down low enough, I might deal with some haters. Started at 288. When I got to I think I had lost my first 60 some pounds is when I first dealt with this. I'm 5'4". I'm not tall. So imagine 220 pounds on a 5'4" frame is still a lot. It's not like anybody who didn't know me would meet me and go, wow, you skinny girl, you so skinny, you so widow. Like nobody would say that. And so the wild thing so I showed up on vacation, and this was a vacation we do in Florida. One of my good girlfriends, we've been doing it every year since before we had kids. And I didn't tell her I was losing weight. She was over 300 pounds and she didn't ask. And I wasn't going to go to her and be like, hey, by the way, yeah, I know you haven't lost weight, but dude, I've lost like 60 pounds. Like that's just this kind of an uncomfortable conversation, right? So she sees me and immediately she's like, well, where'd the rest of you go? And I'm like, hi, nice to see you too. And she's like, you could have told me. And I'm like, well, you didn't ask, I didn't tell, but I've lost 60 pounds and, I'm excited. Just, trying to be positive through the whole situation. So the week goes on and that was my first negative experience. And what really surprised me was, and that was the tip of the iceberg. It continued. People would say snarky comments. I got to 200 pounds. I got to 190. People would say things like, I hope you're done. I hope you're going to stop because like you're going to look like you have cancer. You're going to look sickly. Like you don't need to lose any more weight. And I'm thinking, I see myself naked. Like I'm fully aware that I have more weight to lose. And I'm tracking my body fat percentage. Like I know that I'm still obese. And people are telling me how tiny I am, how skinny I am, how I need to stop. And there was only one person in my entire life, in my entire world, that never said anything negative. And I think the mistake that a lot of people make is they think that a lot of times it's the people that don't love us that say things. And that can be true, but it's also the people that love us. Listen, just because they said, my mom said crap. My best friend said stuff. My best friends said stuff. And it wasn't because they didn't love me. It was out of their own insecurities. And the part that surprised me was, I would go to my husband and I would say, babe, do you think I'm getting too skinny? Am I doing anything unhealthy? And he's like, Carmen, look at your body fat percentage. No, the numbers tell you you're not unhealthy. Like these are their feelings. These are their emotions. And you can't let that rule your life. And I'm like, nope, you're right. But the thing that ticked me off was, where were all those people when I was shoving my pie hole with donuts and ice cream and nutty bars and all the, the queso and the guacamole and all like, where were they then? Nobody came up to me and said, whoa, Carmen, we're really worried. You had a baby. Maybe you should put down the queso. Maybe you should cut back on this. Maybe like no one had an opinion then. But as soon as I started losing weight, as soon as I started getting healthy, as soon as I started going in the other direction, now everyone's so worried about my health. And it was like, this makes no freaking sense. And I finally just came to the realization and the revelation that it didn't matter if they supported me because it wasn't for them. And eventually they were going to say, and first they were going to say, why, when. But if I just kept going, that eventually all of them would come to me and say, how? Even the ones who said why. And I treated the weight loss like it was my job. I didn't get all caught up and wound up. I kept looking at the numbers. I knew the truth of what it said. And I really had to compartmentalize everything they said. And the wild thing was, most of the people that wound up saying something negative ended up joining me at some point or the other. Almost everybody, without exception. So first they say how, but if you just keep going and you don't let their lack of belief. Why? Because if they can't do it, why do they want to think you can do it? And eventually they will get used to the new you. Eventually the new you will no longer be the new you. It'll just be you. They will no longer remember when you were fluffy, when you were this size, when your eyes were really squinty because the fat pressed them together, when you smiled, and after you lose weight, it looks like you had eye enlargement surgery. Like it's wild. They will, it'll no longer be a big deal. And you will just be known as the fit friend. You will be known as the healthy friend. You will be known as the person who drinks water and eats and works out, and that'll be your new identity to them. But there is a shift. There is a shift that has to happen. And people don't just get used to the new you just like that. But there's two things that happen. Either they can, and this is one of the things that I would say, when you're dealing with negative people, and again, all of us are going to, we don't know when, but it is going to happen. The worst thing we can ever do is defend ourselves. The worst thing we can ever do is defend ourselves, because when we defend ourselves, all that does is plant doubt inside of our own head. That's where doubt and self-sabotage come from, is us defending ourselves to other people, because we get caught in this trap. People are like, oh, because they haven't seen you, right? They don't know what you're doing. They don't know that you're not working out all day. They don't know how you're fueling your body. They don't know the products you're taking and what it is. They have no clue. So people will say things, again, out of their ignorance, and ignorance is nothing but a lack of knowledge. They will say things out of their ignorance. And listen, most of us have probably been that person. I've been that person. I've seen people lose weight fast and totally judged, totally been ignorant and made some ignorant comment. And so there's going to be people that say things like, oh my gosh, you've lost a lot of weight. Are you sure what you're doing is healthy? Like, are you losing weight too fast? Are you almost done? When are you going to stop? I mean, And so what we're tempted to do when people question us is to, oh, well, yeah, like we're tempted to defend ourselves. We're tempted to want to tell them why what we're doing works, and why what we're doing is great, and why what we're doing and work, who it worked for. And like, I'll tell you the story. So we had a person go through the biggest transformation, and she had went to see a family member, and she had lost like 60 pounds, and she was in a size 6 from a size 16 by the end of the program. And she went to pick up one of her kids, and a family member said, wow, you've lost weight so fast. Your hair looks really thin. Prior to that, it never occurred to her that her hair looked any different. So she defended to the cousin all the things she was doing. That night she went home. She actually went on the Beachbody website, bought collagen, which was fine. Collagen's great for people. I take it. Lots of people take it. But she only did it because someone else's opinion, her defensive, then made it stick in her head that her hair must look thin. I said, Myrna, did you think your hair looked thin before? Do you think your hair looks thin? She's like, no, I never did. So why do you take this lady's thing? Why would you let her negativity cause doubt inside of you? Because then that doubt spirals. Well, gosh, so she goes home, she's looking at her hair. She's like, oh, is it too thin? What's going on? She's worried about this. She's worried about that. People say stuff about, oh, you better not lose too much weight. You know how much saggy skin you'll probably have. You don't want to be unhealthy. You don't want to look sickly. And I think for a lot of us that struggle being overweight, it is a fear we have. We've all seen people who've went too far and they look like a melted candle. They don't look healthy. Their face looks sunken in. And I don't think all of us, I think, have this inner fear of becoming that person. But you don't know the way they lost the weight. You're doing it the healthy way. You're fueling your body. You're not starving yourself. I've never had one client look sunken in because they're not eating 500 calories a day and starving themselves. No, you're doing it the healthiest way possible, the old-fashioned way, the hard work way. It ain't no shortcuts in this plan. It's not a get skinny quick. I mean, when you get to the end, you're going to feel like it was so fast, but it's hard. You're doing the work. You're putting in the work in the healthiest way you possibly can, and filling your body with the right fuel, the right things. And so I want to, when you get in the situation where someone is being negative, someone is second guessing how you're losing weight, someone is second guessing your size, someone's second guessing anything you're doing, our knee-jerk reaction is to defend. And all we want to do, we want to stay out of defensive land. We want to acknowledge what they're saying and just move on. Change the subject. Acknowledge what they're saying, say something positive, and just move on. Don't allow someone else to drag you into their litter box that they poop and pee in. And now you're in their litter box stomping around and it stinks. Do not, it can't be a debate unless you engage. That Keanu Reeves said, and he said, I'm to the place in my life where if someone says 2 + 2 = 5, I'm like, yeah, man, awesome. Great. Good job. Like, versus being like, actually, 2+2 equals 4. Like, you don't have to be the correction police. Like, it's okay if they're wrong, right? We don't have to come around and be like, meh, especially when it comes to what you're doing. Their opinion means jack squat. They don't pay your bills. They don't live with you. And as long as, for those of you that are married, as long as you and your significant other are on the same page and you've had the conversation about you getting healthy, everybody else, they can go fly a freaking kite. And all those people that say, why, will eventually say, how, what'd you do? Can you help me? What'd you take him? What did da. They will. And so I choose to be a victor, not a victim. There's no circumstance or situation that's going to control me. I'm in charge of my emotions. I'm in charge of my feelings. I'm in charge. I control how I react to those situations. I can't control anybody else, but I can control how I react and respond to those situations. And so there's a freedom in that when you realize that. There's a freedom in that. There was a freedom when I realized in my marriage that, you know what? I'm married to a human. He's going to mess up, but I control how I respond to him. I control how I react to him. And how I react will give us either the marriage we want or the marriage we don't want, right? And so here's what I want us to do tonight. And this is going to kind of lead into what we're going to be doing next week, but a little bit differently. So we live in a world where the world is desperately seeking approval and attaboys from other people. And most of us, all of us, without exception, could be better encouragers. All of us could be better at it, right? Because there's levels to everything. There's levels to everything. And some of us have been working at this and we're at a different level. And some of us, it just occurred to us. And so everybody's at a different level. But we could all always improve at being an encourager. And that includes encouraging ourselves. That includes being able to be our own biggest hype person, our own biggest cheerleader. The person where we're not waiting for the outside to do it for us, that we can look ourselves in the mirror and we can encourage ourselves. And that would mean just as much reminding yourself about those things. And so what we're going to do tonight is you guys are going to have 1 minute each to encourage yourself.
I am successful. I'm already successful in losing weight. I have always gained at least minimum 50 pounds in a pregnancy, and I'm negative 10 right now. So I am successful in losing weight already, and I am confident. I'm feeling better. I'm looking better. When I walk out the house, my shoulders are up and back a little more, and I feel a lot more confident in what I wear, and I'm getting a little more narrow. So more belly and less love handles. So I'm very confident. I am powerful. I am powerful in my words. I I wake up motivated to seize my day and take on new adventures and new new things with work. I have come so far and I'm unstoppable.
I am amazing, wonderful, um, caring, gifted, brilliant, full of amazing ideas. I'm a loving, fun, thoughtful mom. I can achieve anything I put my mind to. I'm more than capable of learning anything that it comes my way. Um, I'm beautiful. I'm fun. I'm trustworthy. I'm a great friend. I'm a great daughter. Um, I'm capable. I'm diligent. I'm committed. I'm resilient. I do not give up ever. I'm um, I'm made to lead others to prosperity and happiness and peace. And I was born for such a time as this.
Hey there. First of all, You've been amazing in this program. I'm so proud of you for getting up every day and not missing one workout, drinking all your water, eating your food, losing almost 25 pounds already. And even during some of the hardest days of your life, you're still waking up and doing what you have to do. You're a badass, and I'm proud of you, and keep doing what you're doing. And eventually you'll get to your goal. So this minute's long, and you're beautiful. And you are gonna keep doing what you gotta do. So high five. And now you're gonna eat more greens because greens are great and they're low carb.
So listen up, girl. You've come way too far. You have done hard things in the past, and you are doing a hard thing, okay? First of all, you are victorious, and you will get through this. You will come out on the other end. We cannot, or you will not let Dennis down, because he's watching you now. He really is. And he threatened you. So you got to get to the end. You are an awesome mom. You are an awesome, fit mom. You are healthy, and you are a gentle mom. And you love your children, and you love to be with them, and you will be with them. You will get through this, and at some point be at home with them full time versus at work full time. And they are amazing kids, and you have an amazing husband.
So, hey girl, listen up. You're killing it. Look at you, all sexy and hot. You look happy. You are growing. You're thriving. You, I wrote them down. You are thriving. Look at how much memories you're creating with your kids, with your husband. You're not drinking anymore. So now you have more energy to go out and run. Now you have more mental clarity. Now you're happy all the time. You're not grumpy or screaming at somebody. This is at the point where if it was any other program, you will quit, but you're still going strong. Even though you're on vacation, you're still going strong. You're not letting other people's opinion of what you're doing get to you. You've got this. You are strong. You are fabulous, and you can do hard things.
Okie dokies. Listen up, Dufour. Keep going. You're doing great. I mean, your work is paying off. You're being consistent. You stayed consistent for almost 60 days now. You're already at 20% of your initial 100-pound goal for next May. At this point, you're going to be there before then and surpass it. So keep going. You're beautiful. You're amazing. You're strong. You're an athlete. You are worthy of love. You're going to snag that dream guy. You're a leader at work. You inspire others. You're your best cheerleader. You cheer everybody else on as well. And you love waking up at 5. It's not hard at all. You meal plan. You stick to the plan. And when you get to Paris next year, you're going to be blowing everybody out of the water.
As you come into this next week, it's really looking for those places and starting to speak into them where you're going. Picking up the pen, writing the next chapter as if you are a storyteller, a fortune teller, and you are writing your future. Having the faith to say it and believe it, even though there's no proof yet that it's going to happen. And that, when you can start to do that and be certain about where you're going, that's taking failure off the table. It's taking failure off the table. And that is your future. That is where you're going. and you'll start to know it with certainty inside of you. And that is powerful. When you are just like, and when people come with their doubt and their naysayers and they're this and they're that, you're like, whatever. They have no idea. Don't believe me, just watch.